So today's episode of the HX1 tonner build, going to get back into some more bodywork. Now it's been a while since I've done any bodywork, so I think now's a good time to get back into it. I've got a bit of a head start here. I've done all this off screen, but I've just gone over the panels with an orbital sander and masked it all up, ready for a coat of epoxy. Now I was gonna try and start this tray, but unfortunately the mud guards have not arrived yet, and I really need them to be able to get this tray done. Now, I think what I'm going to do is focus on the bodywork and try and get this thing painted before the end of the year, and then I can start looking at interior, do the final assembly, get it all ready, get it drivable, and then I could probably focus on the tray later on anyway and paint that separately. I did want to paint the tray and all the bodywork all at the same time, but I just think I'm going to have to do it separately, otherwise this tray is just going to hold me up. So yeah, it's kind of pretty exciting. Finally going to get this thing in color, so hopefully in the next couple of months this will be all painted up. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start laying some epoxy primer down. I am going to give it about 3 or 4 coats, and then that way that there's plenty of material to work with when it comes to using the filler and smoothing off. It's got plenty of material there. So I'm gonna spray that, let it set overnight, and then tomorrow I can start sanding. But for the rest of the day, once I spray that, I can start doing this nose cone, getting all this prepped up and smoothed off, ready for epoxy also. There's a few little repairs I've got to do, so there's some rust there on both sides, which shouldn't be too bad to do. So I've got to repair them as well. Okay, that is 3 coats of the epoxy, and I left it about 15 minutes in between coats to flash off. And then the last coat, I gave it a nice thick wet coat for the final coat. So it's a pretty warm day here in Brisbane, so that's going to dry pretty quickly. But what I'll do is I'll leave that overnight to dry, and then I'll start applying all the filler and smoothing it off tomorrow. In the meantime, I've got the nose cone here. I'll start doing this. So I'm going to just repair these sections here. These are just held in by some spot welds, so I'll just grind the spot welds out, and then I'll cut out the patch behind it, weld a new patch in on both sides. Should be relatively simple. Okay, them patches are welded in both sides, and I've just welded this piece on as well. But before I welded that on, I just put some weld through primer on this surface here just to protect underneath there. Now, once I spray epoxy over this, another layer, I'll put some seam sealer around this section here. I'm pretty sure that's why it's rusted, is just because it gets the moisture in between, this piece here, and then rust it out. So I'll try and protect that as best as I can with some seam sealer. But other than that, this nose cone is in pretty good condition. It's pretty much ready for another coat of epoxy once I sand it all down. There's a few little bits and pieces I might have to put some filler on, but other than that, it's in pretty good condition, so won't take too much work. But for the time being, I'm going to leave the nose cone and go back onto the body. So I've let this dry overnight, and I can start smoothing it all off. So the fillers I'll be using are all from U-Pole, and I've been using these products on the car on this build so far, and they've been really good. So the first product is Fiberlite. This is a fiberglass filler. It's got little strands of fiberglass, so it strengthens up the filler. So I'm going to use that in areas, for example, where this door, I've cut open this patch here to get access to the rust underneath to repair that. But where I've welded that in, it's kind of warped a little bit and it's going to be a little bit thicker. So I'll probably put a skim of that Fiberlite in there. And then over the top of that, I'll use this premium body filler, so Dolphin premium body filler. So this is for medium depth repairs, and this stuff is really good. It's easy to work with, it applies really well, and it sands really easily as well. So Trev's blog recommended that. I watch a channel called Trev's blog, and he done a review on it, and he recommends this stuff is really good. So that's sort of reason why I source this body filler, because if Trev uses it, it must be good. And then the third product here, so this is a ultra fine finishing filler. So this is to finish it off and any pinholes and light scratches and stuff. I haven't used this stuff yet. I've had it for a while, but I've just never used it. So I'm pretty keen to give that a go as well. Got the guide coat to make sure you're getting your highs and lows, smoothing it back, and then the mixing board as well. These mixing boards are pretty handy. You just mix the filler on the top, and then you can just tear it off and throw it away instead of having to clean up the board all the time. So all these products, I just order them online. It's just a lot easier to order them rather than drive around town and try and find all this stuff. So I'll put a link in the show notes for the eBay stores where I have ordered them from. So if you want to order some yourself, click on the links. So I've just scuffed up the epoxy where I want to apply the fiberglass filler. Now I do believe that when you paint epoxy, it has like 3 or 4 days of being able to put filler over the top without scuffing it back. But I just thought I'd scuff it back. It doesn't take very long and it doesn't hurt in doing that. I just think it's probably going to have a better bond if it's scuffed up anyway. So I'll mix some of this filler up, and we'll start smoothing off all these panels. So I've just put that fiberglass filler in these sections and sanded it back. I can now put the regular type filler over the top of that. And you can just see, I've just put this factory line in here. It's very faint, that line. They call that the banana line. It's very faint, it just sort of, curves up like so. I can see it pretty well on this panel here, but with the door, because I've pulled this section out, or cut this section out and welded that in, it's kind of lost that line. So I've kind of, you can see it just here, and then you can't really see it from there. So I've just kind of guessed how that kind of curves, but I think that's relatively on the money. So I'll try and retain that factory line when I start sanding it and using the filler. So to sand these panels, I've got these Durablocks, and if you haven't heard of these things already, they're bloody awesome. They stay nice and flat, they really show your highs and lows, and yeah, they get your panels dead flat. They come in a pack of 6, and these 4 here are my sort of go-to ones that I've been using. So you got your standard one, there's a shorter one, skinnier one, and then this is your round one for doing concave areas. And it comes with your longer one and this sort of skinny one as well. And with them, I use the 3M sticky back sandpaper. So I've got 80 grit, 320 and 120. And they just stick on the Durablocks and just keep it in place. So between them, yeah, they just really make it a lot easier to sand the panels back. So once again, if you want to order these online, I'll put a link in the show notes for the eBay stores where I bought them from. Okay, I've just been smashing out these panels. I've been getting in the groove and yeah, haven't filmed for a while, but yeah, a lot of this panel work is getting there. There's still a little bit to go, but yeah, the bulk of it is almost there. Now what I've been doing is putting a bit of filler on one side and then jumping across to the other side and start sanding the other side. And then yeah, once that's done, I'll put a bit more filler on, let that dry, and then jump back across to the other side. So just yeah, bounce back and forth. But yeah, so far I'm happy with how it's turning out. I still need to draw that banana line in them panels there, and then I can start yeah, sanding that in correctly so it all flows. And then yeah, this on these doors, these are getting there. It took a little bit to get them right. Still got a little bit to go. Got to get this line right. But yeah, that's coming along. I just had to put some filler in, sand it back, put another layer on, sand it back. It took a few layers, but it is, she's nearly there. But I'm really liking how these edges are turning out. It just, yeah, really sharpens it up by using the filler. This was all steel, there's not much filler in there, but it just, yeah, really sharpens them lines up nicely. I'm not sure whether I'll keep, you know, them sharp sort of edges. I'll probably, yeah, round them off maybe slightly, but I do kind of like that razor sharp kind of finish there. But yeah, I'm happy with how that's turned out anyway. So I've just been using a combination of these 4 blocks, and with the concave areas, so this one has kind of got that curve like that. I've been using this round one and then just sort of going up on a angle like that and then crisscross it, so then you go back the other way. Just like that. And then for the flatter areas, I've been using this long thick one just to kind of do the same thing, do that crisscross. Just like that. And then with this banana line, I've been using this skinny one, and I've kind of just been going up to this line here that I've marked with the permanent marker. So I've just sort of been going up to that and then just stopping. And then sort of working my way up and just stopping at that line. And then, so that line I've been doing it below the line and then above the line. So I'll sort of go down, stop at the line, and then stop at the line like that. So yeah, see how that looks. If it's too sharp, you can always, yeah, eventually go back over that line. But yeah, just been stopping at the line on below and above. So I've been working these panels for a while. I'm about 90% there, I reckon. Still got a little bit to go. These gaps here are bloody looking awesome. I'm frothing these gaps. I know I'll keep banging on about them, but I'm really happy with them. They just flow really nicely. The shed's an absolute mess. There's shit and dust everywhere. My MIG wire fell off the wall as well, so that's absolutely fucked. Not much I can do with that. But yeah, these lines here, so what I've done to get this line nice and sharp, I used a piece of tape. So what I've done is I put the tape on, put a bit of filler over, left the tape on, sanded it, and then peeled it off, and then put the tape on the top, and then put the filler on the bottom, and then sanded that. And then yeah, once you peel that tape off, you just get that real sharp line. So that's looking pretty nice. Now with these sort of rub through areas, because I've got, so you got your bare metal showing, and that's obviously the floor, you can't go any further than that. So I was a little bit concerned with these rub throughs that it's going to be scalloped. I've put the straight edge on there and it's pretty straight, but I think I might work that a little bit more. What I might do is sort of tap them bits in with a hammer slightly and then put another layer of filler over the top just to skim, just to make sure that that metal doesn't rub through. This is obviously an area that you're going to see, it's going to stand out if you get that wrong. So I don't want to have them little bits of metal exposed and potentially show through the paint. So I want to get that right. Now I measured the other side and that's probably a little bit worse than this side. So when you put the straight edge over, there's probably like a good mil gap there. So I need to put some more filler over that. I'm gonna probably try and put a little bit more filler over in areas where I've got sort of large rub throughs. So I reckon there might be a bit of a low here. So I might have to like slightly build that up. But yeah, I'll just sort of keep working it, fine tuning it. So once these panels are pretty much there, what I'll do is I'll just go over the areas with a single pack etch primer. I don't think there's any point of putting epoxy over it as yet. I might as well do that when it comes time to apply the high build. So I'll put the epoxy over the top, let it flash off, and then put 3 or 4 coats of the high build. But I'm not going to spray the epoxy now. It just means you got to rub it back, and if you do have any imperfections, then you're pretty much starting again, putting the body filler, sanding back and all that. So I might as well try and get it right now, and the etch primer is going to sort of assist with that. So I'll go over sort of the large areas of the etch to see if there's any imperfections, and then I can just keep applying the filler and finessing it as such. I'm just going to keep working it, keep sanding, keep bogging. Need to fit this nose cone up. I could start sanding and using the filler on the nose cone, and then I can bolt up the bonnet as well, get all that sanded back. That should be pretty good. I spent a fair bit of time before I put the epoxy on that bonnet, so hopefully that's pretty flat. But yeah, there's no point really filming anymore. It's sort of a bit repetitive, boring kind of content, so I'm just gonna keep working it off screen. So I'm gonna chuck on the tunes and keep grinding away, working on this bodywork. And speaking of tunes, I made a Shenke Garage playlist on Spotify. So if you have Spotify, search for Shenke Garage, and it's just a playlist of all my favorite songs and bands that I listen to that get me pretty keen and amped up to work in the shed. There's like a bit of a variety of sort of rock, punk, hardcore. You definitely won't find any top 40 mainstream music on there. But yeah, I'll just continue adding to that playlist, and if you're interested, check it out on Spotify. So I'm over 4,600 subscribers now, so getting close to that 5,000 milestone. So help me out, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So when I hit 5,000 subscribers, I'll probably do like a giveaway and give away some merch and stuff. And speaking of merch, if you want to help support the channel further, head over to the merch store. I'll put a link in the show notes below also. If you are new to the channel, I highly recommend checking out this build from the very first episode all the way to the latest. So I'll put a card up in this corner for the playlist. It's in order from the very first to latest episode. So have a binge on that. And we'll leave it with that, and we'll see you next time on Shenke Garage. Cheers.